Oh boy. Where do we even begin with tonight's show? Oh boy. Well, for those of you who are interested, who want to call in and give your thoughts, maybe do a little bit of ranting like I'm going to do. You have the chance here on Suns Geek. You may not have the chance on other Suns post-game shows, but you will have the chance here. I'm going to give that to you guys. I put the link in the chat and I'm going to post it again. I'll try to pin it to the top of the chat as well. I'm seeing the tweets, I'm seeing the chat, and not the way you want to start the playoffs with Kevin Durant is all I'm going to say about that. And look, you guys, I don't want to sound like Mr. Know-It-All because I've been wrong on things before. Like I was wrong about Austin Reeves, for example. But I will say one thing I was right on, especially in this game, is rebounding matters. And I'm not saying we lost the game because of rebounding, but we definitely lost the game because of those at least 3 final offensive rebounds. That was part of the reason we lost. Oh boy, we have a lot to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. This was such an up and down roller coaster game. And the truth is, you guys, the Suns just need to be better. And I'm seeing some people say like, "Oh, it's one game. Move on." Guys, this isn't a regular season game. This is a playoff game. If the Clippers win 3 more games, they win the series. So this isn't just like a move on. It's game 1. No. We were at home and we could have won. We should have won, and we didn't win. So I'm going to rant for a little bit. I do see a couple people already joining, or at least one person joining. Shouts to my guy, Metal Mike. Appreciate you. I'll try to get you on ASAP. But I do want to just kind of give some thoughts, go over some stats. So it might be a little bit before you guys join the show. But before we get started, I've already ranted for 5 minutes or 4 minutes. We haven't even really started. I am going to crack open a beer because you know what? We need a beer after tonight's loss. This should have been a win. We didn't get it done. So before we get started, cheers. Let's go. So the Phoenix Suns fall to the Los Angeles Clippers in game 1. And talk about a game full of runs, a game full of strange quarters, if you will. I mean, like what, Booker and KD struggled to start the first quarter. I think they were like 0 for 5, 0 for 6 or something like that. This was definitely a game all about matchups. Because if I remember correctly, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right, so I'm going to go to my notes here. I believe it was, and I just want to make sure I'm getting this correct, because Ty Lue talked about this, and he said this after the first quarter. He said, the Suns only played in, I'm paraphrasing on what Ty Lue said, but he said, I'm paraphrasing here, but they only played 8 games together. So we tried to give the Suns different offenses, different lineups and matchups to mix it up a little bit. I thought I wrote down who the Clippers started with, but if I remember correctly, it was, I think they put Zubac on Torrey Craig, if I remember that correctly. This was like, the matchups were insane. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, you guys. I just have some notes and some thoughts, and then we're going to go over some stats, and then I'll get you guys on. So if you are already in the chat, which by the way, I'll share the link again if you guys want to join. If you want to call into the show, I'll post the link right now. You guys can join in probably about 20 minutes ish. So I'm going to go over some notes. We're going to go over some stats, but I really do want to hear from you guys. Okay. So as I mentioned, Kevin Durant struggled to score in this game. I think he started 0 for 5. But I do want to just talk about how the Phoenix Suns had kind of strange energy And that shouldn't be an excuse. I mean, we had what technically, including the four starters, the big four, technically they had like over 10 days, I want to say, off. Like Kevin Durant, Booker, Ayton, CP3, because they rested them the final 2 games of the season. Plus, we had like 5 days off because of the play-in tournament stuff. And I think I heard on the broadcast that, now I could be wrong here, someone fact check me, but could be wrong, that said Monty Williams said like the days off was kind of a factor into the slow start and the energy. That should be no excuse. I understand that these guys play an 82 game long season. I get it. It's exhausting. But like, that should be no excuse for professional basketball players who make millions of dollars. That should be no excuse for a team that has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. So I want to start with the first quarter. As I mentioned, the matchups were interesting to start the game. And look, maybe this is a factor, but Monty Williams made the interesting decision to not start Josh Okogie. What did myself and the Suns Jam session talk about, prior to the end of the season? I made a whole video. I clipped a segment of a video and I uploaded it. Said who should be the starting, the starting 5 going forward. Who should it be, Josh Okogie or Torrey Craig? Monty Williams flips the coin and starts Torrey Craig. And we're going to talk about Torrey Craig because he was fantastic tonight. So I don't want to blame Torrey Craig for his great performance. But you made a switch when it mattered kind of most. Starting the playoffs, you start Torrey Craig. I just think that was strange. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the chat if I'm wrong about that. Because again, I'm not blaming Torrey Craig. I thought Torrey Craig was great. We're going to go over some stuff to where I thought Torrey Craig was great on. But I think just him taking Okogie out of the lineup also had a factor in us losing this game. So let's start with the first quarter. Kawhi Leonard did a great job of forcing the Phoenix Suns to draw the second defender, leading to open threes. He was cooking early. Eric Gordon was cooking early. I think he had like 12 points. And I think by halftime, he had like 16 points. It was one of those games where like one of their role players was getting hot. So let's move on. Norman Powell's another player that I was a little bit concerned about heading into this game. I thought that he had a really good game. This was one of those games, you guys, where I believe the Clippers were on a 10-1 run to end the first quarter. That was when it was 30-18. And then I think it was the Clippers, again, that went on a 15-2 run with the 10-minute mark in the second quarter. There's certain sequences and certain moments that I do want to talk about because I took certain notes on each quarter and certain players that I felt made an impact throughout the game. And I do want to talk about halftime too, because I feel like the halftime numbers were really interesting. So let me just pull up the numbers real quick. And then I'll kind of go player by player. We'll kind of do it how like we always do it. And let me start with the Phoenix Suns real quick. Before I kind of go to the rest of the notes and everything, I just want to kind of fast forward a little bit. Okay, let's start with Kevin Durant. And as always, you guys, I have to play Kevin Durant's drop and take a sip of my beer. So that's what we're going to do. Kevin Durant was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. He started off the game, as I mentioned, 0 for 5. Finished the game with 27 points, 11 assists, which we're going to talk about that later, 2 blocks, 9 rebounds, 7 for 15 from the field, but he was 3 for 7 from 3. He had 4 fouls. While he was 0 for 5, one of his first possessions of the game was a cherry pick pass to Devin Booker. I think that later led to a KD block. That was that kind of controversial call where it looked like he got all ball on Kawhi Leonard, but he blocked him, and the rest called the foul on KD. KD's first field goal came from a shot over Russell Westbrook. KD had a nice drive to the basket where he was in transition and he drove by fast on Kawhi Leonard, laid it up and in. Kevin Durant's playmaking, as I mentioned, he had 11 assists tonight. 5 of those, I believe, came in the fourth quarter, in which a lot of them were to Torrey Craig. I think a couple went to DeAndre Ayton. His playmaking was amazing tonight. And there was a little bit of the game where he sort of took over, but not really in that like KD kind of way that we needed him to do. I feel like the 45 minutes is definitely something to remember going forward, especially now that he's healthy and he's no longer on a minutes restriction. But we just couldn't really get KD going the way I think that we wanted him to get going. And even though, KD finished with 27, Craig finished with 22, and we definitely are going to talk about Torrey Craig later. Booker finished with 26. It just didn't seem like enough. And I don't know if that's concerning or if that's a good thing. Because I think there was a stretch where KD might have went like 4 minutes without scoring. And I think that was in the fourth quarter. And again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I say that because we all know that Kevin Durant can drop 40, 50 in a heartbeat. But I just think that the Suns as a team, especially the bench, could have been better. And like I'm looking at the numbers. Shamet had 4 points in 24 minutes. Jock Landale had 4 points, although he had a couple nice plays here and there. Biyombo, 2 points. And then the rest were zeros. Josh Okogie played 7 minutes. So I just don't know, you guys. I really don't know. Even though Torrey Craig was great, and he finished with 22, 4 rebounds, a steal, and he had some sequences, that I'm going to talk about later. It's just not enough. Chris Paul finished with 7, 10, and 11, so he has 3 points of a triple-double, but still like 2 for 8 shooting, not good enough. I don't know, you guys. DeAndre Ayton needs to be better. 33, 18, and 8. And while we're at it, I don't know if he's worthy of a drop, but we're just going to play it anyways. Let's play the DeAndre Ayton drop before I talk about DeAndre Ayton.
The Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton.
So the sequences and the notes that I took about DeAndre Ayton, he actually hit our first playoff shots of the game. I think it was like a nice mid-range shot. He had a nice dunk where it was a 4-on-5. I think Plumlee got hurt on the play and he ran in, flushed the dunk down. He had a nice post-up move on Zubac. And he had a couple moments where he was trying to chase down the block, and he actually got one of those chase down blocks. But beyond that, I noticed a lot of weird energy. There were times where he would get called for a foul, or it was either he didn't get the foul and he wouldn't run back on defense. And I tweeted this twice, back to back. I said, rebounding is so important. And I'm not blaming DeAndre Ayton for those key, 3 offensive rebounds and everything that Westbrook had and the Clippers had. But rebounding is so important. I talked about it just a few hours ago. I said, we need to gang rebound, get some damn rebounds. And we didn't get rebounds. And I have been a critic all season long about our rebounding, you guys. Tonight, 48-42. The Clippers had 15 offensive rebounds. And I really believe that a lot of those late offensive rebounds by the Clippers sort of killed us. Let's just keep going down the list here. Torrey Craig, was fantastic. And I really do want to give him his credit. Even though I'm kind of criticizing Monty Williams for starting Torrey Craig, I just wonder what a Josh Okogie could have done out there with more minutes. Torrey Craig was the guy that KD was looking for. Torrey Craig was open on a lot of shots, and he delivered. You know, he hit a couple open threes, drove to the basket. There was that one play where I think Craig like missed the shot and Booker got it. And I think he passed it to KD. KD passed it back to Booker. Booker hit the shot. Timeout Clippers. There was the play where Booker stole the ball, and I think it led to a Torrey Craig dunk. And then I think Booker missed a three. Chris Paul saved it, and Torrey Craig laid it up and in. It was just those hustle key plays by Torrey Craig that were absolutely huge. And then again, Torrey Craig's actually really good on defense. We all know that. He puts in the effort, puts in the hustle and everything. Torrey Craig was great. But I just wish we could have seen a game in which Josh Okogie would have started. I wonder if we would have looked the same the way we did ending the season with Josh Okogie starting. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. That was one thing I noticed right away. I was like, why isn't Josh Okogie starting? Let me talk about halftime real quick, because I kind of want to talk about this earlier. The Suns went 5 minutes without a field goal. I think KD hit a free throw around the 9:44 mark. That was when it was 35-21. Clippers led by 16. KD started going to the line more, started hitting some mid-ranges. KD had 17 at halftime, but he was 4 for 10. Booker was 6 for 12. Zubac, who we're going to talk about later, was 10 for 11. The Suns had 15 free throws made in the end of the first half, but the Clippers were 9 for 12 from the free throw line. Turnovers, I feel like, were a big factor in the series, in this game, if you will. Because they had 8 turnovers at halftime. Suns had 5, and I believe all 5 of those turnovers were in the first half. And I'm just double checking here. They only finished the game with 10 turnovers. So that's actually pretty good. I will give the Suns that. But they brought this up at halftime. Now, again, this is just halftime numbers. 20 of 43 of their field goals for the Clippers were in the paint. And the Clippers, I believe, they crushed us in the points in the paint battle, 48-50. Oh boy. You see, you guys, this is why I want to get you guys on here to give your guys' thoughts, because I can take all the notes I want. I can watch as closely as I want. But there's honestly just some times where I just don't know what to say. I was watching this game extremely closely, and I was observing all that I could, and I was trying to watch every player, but sometimes I need your guys' perspective. So once I'm done kind of going over my notes and going over some numbers, I'm going to get you guys on. If you guys want to call into the show, quote, call into the show, you guys have your chance. You guys can rant here. I don't know if other Suns podcasts will let you guys do that, but I'm going to let you guys do it here. We've done it before. We did it earlier today, and it was a great show. And look, again, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all, but a lot of the stuff that I talked about earlier was some stuff that we didn't execute tonight. Let's fast forward to the fourth quarter. The Suns did do a pretty good job on defense. And that's weird of me to say, because I've had to learn to come to the fact that great offense trounces great defense. But in a weird game like this, where the Suns were playing good defense, the offense wasn't really there. That's what I don't understand about basketball anymore. The reason I bring that up is because in the third quarter, the Suns held the Clippers 8-24 from the field. 33% for the Clippers in the third quarter. But then the Suns missed like 6 of 7 shots in the fourth quarter. That was when like Kawhi hit a couple back-to-back threes. Ayton hit a couple shots. You know, he had that floater. I think Eric Gordon hit a 3. Kevin Durant responded with a 3. And the Clippers had like turnovers in the fourth quarter. Like I don't understand basketball anymore. I'm fully going to admit that. I don't know how this game operates anymore. I mean, because the Suns for most of the game had actually pretty good defense, but the offense just was not there. The Suns just need to be better. I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, we had 7 to 10 days off, and that's why our energy was sluggish. We just need to be better. Again, you guys, 3 more wins and the Clippers advance. I don't know. I'm looking at the chat. I've been seeing what Twitter's been saying. I don't know, you guys. So what I'm going to do is, because I've kind of gone over all of my notes real quick, I'll just kind of go over some numbers and I'll get you guys on because I have a few people waiting in the wings. Percentage wise, this was actually a good shooting percentage for both teams. Suns shot 47%, Clippers shot 44%. Clippers hit 10 threes. They shot 32%. I will say this though, in all fairness to the Suns, they were 6 for 20 from 3 tonight. I've said this earlier. I said this earlier in certain shows. If the Suns start hitting their threes, they are going to be a tough team to beat. We did not hit our threes tonight. So I will give the Suns that. But again, we still lost. Both teams got to the free throw lines a bunch of times, 79% for the Clippers, 78% for the Suns. If you round it out, pretty much 79%. Lost the rebounding battle by 5, 15 offensive rebounds for the Clippers, 27 assists tonight for the Suns. We had 9 blocks compared to their 4. We only had 10 turnovers, as I mentioned. 25 fast break points for the Suns. That's actually pretty good. But we lost the points in the paint. Or actually, no, we won the points in the paint battle. Wait, am I getting my numbers right? We won the points in the paint battle by 2. I'm sorry. I might have gotten that wrong earlier. I might have just been so frustrated by certain performances, but just wanted to go over those numbers real quick. All right. So if you guys want to call into the show, I have a few guests waiting in the wings. I'm going to take a sip of my drink here, and we're going to get a few of you guys on. You guys can give your thoughts. You guys can rant away. That way I can actually take a breath and process my thoughts. So we're going to start with a friend of the channel, somebody that's been on this channel a lot, Super Mario Hoops 24. Let me just go ahead and put on my headphones and we will get him on. We also got a couple people waiting in the wings that will also help me rant about this game. So we're going to bring on Super Mario Hoops. Super Mario.
Yo.
Please help me analyze this game. Please tell me that the Suns should have played better. Please tell me that rebounding matters. Talk to me, man. What's going on?
Well, the way they came out, like you could tell they didn't have like the same drive and they looked kind of disconnected a little bit. And I kind of expected this. Actually, I was kind of talking to Romp about it. I'm like, I feel like the Suns are going to come out and they're going to
flat.
Yeah, they're going to come out flat, like kind of mosey their way in there, like almost like we're 8-0 with Kevin Durant. Like we can just kind of, ease our way into things. Well, clearly that didn't work because they were down 16 early in the second quarter. And then eventually like they started getting a rhythm, and then as we get into like the third quarter, that's when you guys really went on a run. I thought you guys were going to pull away because you went on like a 7-0 run or something like that. Then the Clippers called timeout.
Yeah.
Then they called, then after the timeout, you guys scored like 6 more or something or 7 more. And I was
handful of runs.
I was like, geez, like it's rare. Like after you go on like a 7-0 run, 8-0 run, a team calls a timeout. Then it's like usually either back and forth or the other team goes on a run. Like the back-to-back runs like that is kind of weird, especially in the playoffs. But then the Clippers, they kind of pulled their way back. Westbrook was not great shooting from the field, like 3 for 19.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, honestly, if there's gonna be a better 3 for 19 performance, like that's probably the best 3 for 19 performance.
He was excellent on defense too. I will say that. I did take that in my notes.
They had 4 blocks.
Yep.
Kawhi had 1 of them, but the other 3 were Westbrook, right? And he had 2, I think, on Durant in like the first half.
I noted that, yeah, because he was all over Kevin Durant, especially in the first half.
And then the last one was at the end there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought, there were some good things for the Suns. I mean, like to have a role player like Torrey Craig step up the way he did, like I think that was huge because I that wasn't on my radar, him having 22 points tonight. Yeah. And I met the guy. So I mean, that was insane. I thought Durant played well. Maybe at some parts in the second half, I know he was trying to get other people involved, and 11-1 assist to turnovers is pretty impressive. But I thought maybe he could have been a little bit more aggressive looking for a shot. I don't think he took a shot like for a 15 or 16 minute stretch.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I swear there was a point where he either went 4 minutes or maybe longer without scoring a field goal. That was one thing I noticed.
And part of that is, I mean, people were saying like they're not looking for him, that way. Like, and that's fair, but also it's like you're Kevin Durant. You got to demand the ball. Mm-hmm. Honestly, this was just a weird game with a lot of weird stat lines because he almost had like a 30-point triple-double. Chris Paul almost had a triple-double, but it didn't really feel like Chris Paul put an imprint on the game. Like it just felt like the same old thing that I've been saying multiple times, or it's like you can't just kind of walk around for about three quarters playing passive and then try to take over near the end of the game because you look at tonight, he couldn't do much down the stretch of the game. And it seemed like he was forcing stuff. And then like, it almost felt like Ayton was kind of forcing stuff near the end of the game. He also got crushed by Zubac and Plumlee, who combined for like 26 rebounds, I think, or something. So
I feel like I haven't even talked about the Clippers numbers, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. And I mean, Booker played well. I mean, down the stretch, that was just kind of tough. I thought he was really good defensively. But, Eric Gordon, like you said, like Eric Gordon got out to a hot start. And part of that was,
they kept leaving him wide open.
Part of that was because of the attention that Kawhi was drawing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. This is what I say. I've said it multiple times and I'll say it again. There's a lot of great players in the league, but I still think that Kawhi is the best playoff performer in the NBA. And you saw it tonight. I mean, he was insane, right? Like literally there was a stretch where I'm like, I almost felt like there's no way that the Kawhi is going to let him lose this game because he had back-to-back threes.
Yep.
Then he drew so much attention. He did like a 180 pass out to Gordon, and then he hit a 3.
Yep.
And I'm like, every time the Suns have an answer, it's like the Clippers come back with just as many points or more.
Yep.
So, and all that was created by him. So, like I said, this is for anyone that thought this was gonna go like 5 games or something, because I saw a lot of people saying that. I don't think so.
I tried to warn Suns fans, man. I said this is going to be a hard-fought series till the end.
I mean, Kawhi is just that good. Yeah. Okay, and no matter what, I still think the Suns will win the series. But no matter what, like it's going to be a tough task. And Tyronn Lue, I thought, did a pretty good job coaching them tonight.
Yep.
I would argue maybe he outcoached Monty Williams.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. That's why I said early on, because I listened to that first quarter interview, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he said like they've only played 8 games with Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to give them a different offense, different lineups. We tried to mix it up a bit. That's what he said. And we noticed it because I was like, wait a minute. I was like, Zubac is on Craig and Josh Okogie, it didn't start and all that stuff. I was like, what the hell's happening? And Westbrook was on Booker, I believe. And I don't know. It was great coaching by Ty Lue is what I'm trying to say.
The thing that would just concern me about the Suns is I think the Suns they might have better like scorers off their bench. Like, I mean, Terrence Ross could go off for a game, or I mean, TJ Warren didn't play today, but he could go off for a game, or something like that. But I just feel like the Clippers bench fits together more. Like with, Plumlee, basically he just needs to be a grit and grind rebounding guy. I thought Terrence Mann was actually really bad today. I don't know what you thought, but I know he's 3
I didn't notice
6,
much
but
of him.
it just felt like to me he was instigating a lot like a Patrick Beverley. Like he had a foul, like would put Booker on the line like 86 feet away from the basket. And then he had 4 turnovers. Like, I don't know. I thought he played really bad. I mean, Nick Batum is usually pretty solid. Like
I didn't really notice much of him. Yeah,
he didn't do much other than hit 1 3.
Yep.
And I mean, Norman Powell, he played good, but I think honestly, like he could play better. Like, so that's kind of the level of concern I would have for the Suns, especially because you get a guy like Torrey Craig who put up 22 tonight. Like, I don't know how often that's going to happen. Maybe Terrence Ross could go off for a game like that. But, you know, you just have to hope that it's on the right night, if you know what I mean.
Which, you know, going off of your point there, to sound a little optimistic, because I have been a little harsh on the Suns tonight, which they do deserve. I will say, to your point, you said, I don't know how often Torrey Craig's going to go off for 22. Maybe a Terrence Ross could, or maybe somebody else could. That's kind of the potential with the Phoenix Suns, but they need to do it right now. They don't need to do it in game 4 or 5. They need to do it right now. I mean, again, the bench was pretty much a non-factor tonight, pretty much, which is why I was so critical of them starting Torrey Craig, even though he played great. I mean, Josh Kogi played 7 minutes. I don't understand that. The guys couldn't hit shots. Your boy Landry Shamet couldn't hit a shot, although I think he had like a slam dunk. But you get my point. Yeah, we got outplayed. The Clippers bench was much better. And I mentioned that earlier in the live show. I was like, this is a battle of the benches, and the Clippers bench showed up tonight, not the Suns.
I just think, too, like, at least, like, one thing I said before the series, I was on, I don't know if you know 3 Point Weekly, but I was on their podcast thing. And I was talking about this matchup beforehand, and I'm like, hey, like, the one thing I will say about, like, with the Westbrook and Durant dynamic is that over the past 5 years, you know, Westbrook or Durant hasn't beat Westbrook in a game, but at the same time, when he's guarded him, you know, he's made it a little hard on him. Now, you're not going to do that for a full game because, I mean, Kevin Durant's going to keep that up all game long, basically. You know, like, it's just going to be hard to stop a superstar like that. But if he, like him doing it for a quarter and a half, and then you got Kawhi that can do it. He's multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. And then they didn't even play Robert Covington, who he's capable of doing that. Like, I just think that there's a lot of guys. Nick Batum you could throw at him too, like in the post maybe, like for length. Yeah. So there's just a lot of guys that, I mean, maybe they're trying to replicate what Boston did last year with Durant and like match him with the size and just throw a lot of guys at him. There was a time where in the game, I can't remember when exactly it was, but like almost for like 10 straight minutes, they just threw 2 at him like every time. Yeah. You know, and I don't think it was when he was being kind of passive in the third quarter. I think it was the second quarter. But the point is, like, that's kind of the big thing. And like other guys need to step up. And I think Devin Booker did. I think Ayton was playing well early on. Later in the game, he was all right, but I thought maybe
I think he played better in the first half.
Yeah, he could have been more decisive. I think late in games, like I feel like he was a little forcing stuff. But like Chris Paul would need to do better. Like he just needs to step up. Like especially because I don't know if the quote's true or not, but I've been seeing a quote go all over Twitter today saying about a championship, and he's like, no one wants it more than me. Like, come on, man. Like you got to step up then. If you want it the most, show me you want it more than anybody.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, man. I don't know what your schedule's looking like, but I do have a few people waiting in the wings. So if you want to hang out or join later, I'm going to bring these people on, if that's okay with you. But yeah, I do want to get some other people on here.
Yeah, this sounds good. I'll probably hang out. I'm just watching the Wolves Nuggets on my phone.
Yeah, keep a close eye on that game for me, and I'll try to get you back on. All right.
Sounds good.
Appreciate your insight and thoughts. Thank you for helping me rant about this game.
For sure, man.
Awesome, man. All right, we'll see you in a little bit.
See you.
All right, you guys, we're going to bring on Metal Mike. If you guys want to call into the show, I will post the chat or the link in the chat right now. We're going to bring on Metal Mike. Metal Mike, how you doing, man?
What up, Geek?
Oh, man.
I'm just sitting around, just hanging out, just trying to not take this first loss too hard. Trying to not overreact.
Well, I appreciate your optimism, man, because I'm a little negative tonight. Do you want to tell me why you're not overreacting? How you feeling? What's going on, man?
I'm just trying to remember that one saying. I think it's, like if you lose in the playoffs, you feel like it's all going to end. But when you win in the playoffs, you feel like you're unbeatable. Trying to maintain that level-headedness. It's like, all right, yeah. So trying to see what we can learn about the other team tonight too. Hopefully they can make some adjustments for game 2, and it's not going to be a repeat of game 1. We've learned a little bit. We see that Russell Westbrook, even though he's bricking it all the time, he can still affect the game on defense and stuff. So we gotta, shore that up a little bit, and I think the game will be a lot easier if we can just stomp him out a little bit.
I love that insight, man. I love that positivity. I needed that right now. You're absolutely right. I said that earlier too, like in the live show. I was like, both teams are going to make adjustments. We're going to have so much more to talk about after game one.
Yeah.
And maybe all it takes is a Monty Williams starting a Josh Okogie, or maybe it's Kevin Durant being more aggressive. Maybe it's Chris Paul taking more shots. You're absolutely right on the way you're talking about adjustments and learning from game one. So I like your optimism, man.
Yeah. And I think, it's learning what we can do against the Clippers, kind of seeing what they could throw at us to win a game. And obviously they won that game. So we can now see what it takes for them to win a game and hopefully come back, answer those calls, make adjustments in that aspect. I think we were fine as a team tonight. I think we were humming on offense pretty well. I think KD needed to do way more in the end. But,
Yeah.
I mean, also when he's like, almost at a triple-double, you can't really say he didn't do enough, But yeah, I need him to be a little bit more dominant in the end. Not starting Josh Okogie definitely confused me. But I mean, when Torrey Craig's doing what he did tonight, it makes Monty look smart too. But also, I don't know, Josh Okogie looking lost and like what the fuck on the bench.
Mhm.
Sorry, excuse my language.
No, it's okay.
It's also like, that's a confusing thing too. So I don't know, a little bit of questions on Monty and his rotations and stuff tonight too. But like I said, I don't know, just trying to not let this one eat me up,
Well, I love your optimism, man. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry to cut you short, but I got a few people waiting in the wings.
Oh, it's all good, man.
Call into the show anytime, man. Thank you for being here, brother.
For sure,
And,
man. Good talking to you again, man.
Of course, good talking to you, man. We'll talk
All right.
to you soon, all right?
Everybody have a good night. We got this. Game 2.
We got this game too, man. I love that
Let's go.
optimism. That was what I needed right there, guys. I needed that positivity right there. Shout out to Metal Mike. We're gonna try to bring on Mikey. Mikey, are you here? Mikey with Black Cat that I used to have.
Yeah.
Yo,
I'm
what's up,
here.
Mikey?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Much better than you've called
Yeah,
them before, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
How you doing, man? How you
Yes, I
feeling, bro?
have. I actually learned that you can hear your. Well, I'll tell you, it's tough. Well, first of all, I was listening to the stream of the game. I didn't get to watch it, but he, doesn't do it anymore. So that was just kind of disappointed because I couldn't hear Al, and Al's voice usually invigorates the Suns for whatever reason. Call it magical, call it crazy, or coincidental. But what I was surprised by, actually, I wasn't disappointed in the Suns' performance. People in the chat said, other than the bench, the thing that I was really surprised by was the look at it and do so well, and you think he's, most people think he's a cancer in the whatever team, club, but defense, the blocks he did tonight were crucial. I mean, that's hard on us.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, a little bit. You were sort of cutting in and out. Do you want to just quickly kind of re-say what you said? You were sort of cutting out a little bit. I think this is the issue that we had the first time.
Certainly. I was at the Suns bench. Yeah, was what's that?
I think we're having a little.
I was just saying that the Suns bench was a little bit of a disappointment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, yeah, the bench was definitely yeah, I can hear you okay a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna just put you on mute real quick. From what I kind of processed from what you said, definitely the bench was a disappointment. They need to be better. Our starting 4 needs to be bigger and better. So I'm gonna unfortunately cut you off, but I do appreciate you being here just because I got a couple other people waiting in the wings. We are going to bring on someone who's been on this channel a few times. Sun's biggest fan. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
How you feeling, man? What are your thoughts about the game 1 loss?
We definitely got to do a better job. Second chance opportunities killed us in the game, for sure.
Yeah. That's one thing I haven't talked about much. How did you observe that?
Okay.
Yeah. Second chance points are going to kill any team, in my opinion. But I think I do agree with you.
Yep.
What else are you thinking about, man?
I believe the Suns will win game 2. Then we're gonna go up game 3. Game 4, the Clippers gonna take it, so we're tied. Game 5, the Suns, and then game 6, we put them away.
So you think it's going to go to 6 games?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you calling in. I have another person waiting in the wings. Any final thoughts, man?
What do you thought about the game?
I was a little disappointed. That's a good question, but I was a little disappointed. My friend Super Mario Hoops and Metal Mike kind of helped bring me down to earth a little bit. We just need to be better. I mean, from top to bottom, KD needs to be better. Heck, even Torrey Craig, who I thought was great tonight, needs to be better. Ayton, etc. Our bench. Monty Williams needs to figure out this 10-man rotation and stick to it. Heck, I saw someone in the chat saying maybe TJ Warren deserves a run. We just need to be better, man. Those are my thoughts on it. So appreciate you calling in. I'm going to bring on the next guest here. Thank you for calling in, Sun's biggest fan. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Of course, man. We're going to bring on, if I'm reading this correctly, Suns Fiend. Suns Fiend, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, man?
I first of all, I want to say I appreciate the channel. It's great to see a lot of, some Suns fans out there and stuff, something
Thanks,
we can
man.
talk about. I'm actually going to the Kings game tomorrow versus the Warriors.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. But anyways, about this game, I want to apologize because I didn't start watching the game from the beginning. And usually if I watch the whole game, we get the W, especially since KD's been back.
You jinxed us.
Yeah. I was out in Davis and stuff, so I apologize about that. But yeah, watching the game, it's always the same thing versus the Clippers. It's like, from what I see, it's like we can never really get too comfortable versus the Clippers. Like our offense, we win ugly games versus the Clippers. We never really I feel like
blow
put
them out.
Yeah, like we don't win in the Suns way. We win in a kind of like a grit and grind kind of way, and so. I feel like we didn't do that this game. DeAndre Ayton wasn't playing strong enough. I think Zubac went 10 for 11, you said?
Yeah, I think he had a double-double. And let me actually look that up right now. Yeah, 12 points, 15 boards, 4 of them offensive, 5 for 8 shooting, 30 minutes.
Yeah, man. So he's always going to be that. He's that type of dude, he's kind of underrated.
Yep.
He does a lot more than you think he does. And yeah, I mean, as far as like how I think the series is gonna go, we're gonna win the next 2 games, and we're gonna lose game the one after that's gonna be 2-2, and then we're gonna win games 5 and 6. But man, I don't know. We got to find a way to get our offense rolling because the Clippers play very good defense, and our players, like I said, we don't really get to play Suns basketball versus the Clippers as much as I'd like to see. Like Suns basketball, you want to see CP3 get like 15 points, maybe 10 assists. You want DeAndre Ayton to get 20 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, excuse me. You want Booker to get his 28, KD to get 28, 30. And then we want like 30, 20 points from the bench, and we got like 10 points from the bench tonight. So, I don't know. I think we're going to get it together game 2, but that's what we got to do. Like, I think we lost today because CP3 couldn't really score that good, So why do you think we lost tonight?
That's a fair statement, man. I honestly like your insight. Definitely CP not scoring is a big factor. And I talked about that earlier today because he was shooting 13 threes out of 23. I think it was like 60% in the final, 4 games or whatever. We had a lot of guys playing well coming into the playoffs. And I feel like, again, even though Craig played well, and I'm not blaming Torrey Craig, I feel like because Monty Williams maybe made that change from Okogie, not starting, might have thrown things off. We all know KD can explode for 50 at any point. He didn't do that, even though there were some stretches where he did play well. Booker could have been better. As you mentioned, Ayton could have been better too. Just that's why I feel like I don't understand basketball anymore, man, because again, like even you said it, the defense was pretty good, but the offense wasn't there. There were some stretches where the offense was there. We went on a few runs, but I don't get it, man. You have Devin Booker, you have Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, who I mentioned played great to end of the season, and you can't win a game. I don't understand it, man.
I mean, yeah, you're right. And like I try to look at the bright side. So basically, obviously we got Book that did his thing for the most part, and so did KD.
He was pretty good. I haven't given Booker enough credit today. You're right.
I mean, the thing about Booker and KD is that you can have an expectation, and usually they meet those expectations, So it's like you're going to get 27 from Book, you're going to get 28, 30 maybe from KD, but you know that for sure it's almost a fact. But I don't know if we're going to get Torrey Craig dropping 22 next game, or I don't know if CP3 is going to get like 15 or 20. But so on the bright side, I know we're going to see KD and Book out there, but, and then on the kind of the other side is like, what are we going to get from Craig? Is Okogie going to start? And is CP3 going to start? So, or not, if is CP3 going to have a great game? And so like looking forward, I'm trying to see, I need those averages if we get our guys to average what they usually average. If Ayton gets like 18 and 12 and puts like some good pressure on I don't know, you got the Clippers do got 2 good big men. They got Zubac
and Plumlee.
Plumlee's gonna he's gonna knock you around, he's gonna try to bend, he's kind of big. And we used to have Mason Plumlee on the Suns team.
You're a real one if you remember that, man. Miles Plumlee, man.
Oh yeah.
He was great. He had such a good year that first year.
Hey, we do that a lot though. A lot of players they have their best years with the Suns. If you know.
Grant Hill, Josh Okogie, Gerald Green, Miles. I could go on and on, dude.
Yeah, it's like that's what we do, But yeah, so I don't know. So we need some more bench, and then we need obviously CP3 to do his thing, and we got to slow down Zubac, and on their team, I think Westbrook he might shoot better next game, but we don't know. You know what I mean? He might get like 15 points, but we don't know if he's gonna do those other things he did tonight, because those are kind of like the Suns are gonna adjust to that. Obviously Westbrook is playing like Pestbrook right now, so I don't know how many times you saw Westbrook deflect the ball,
especially on KD of all people.
Yeah. And on the last minute and 20 seconds, the Clippers got like 3 offensive rebounds. Yeah. Right at the end. Mm-hmm. Westbrook got one, and then I think we fouled them, and they got another rebound or something, man. And like that was driving me nuts. I was like,
no, I totally agree with you, man. Yeah. And I do appreciate your insight, man. Do you have any final thoughts before? Because I got somebody waiting in the wings. You got any final thoughts, man?
If everybody do your usual thing. If for me, I got to start the game from the beginning and watch the whole game. So we need everybody to do their juju, and we'll get the W.
Appreciate you calling in, man. Feel free to call in anytime. Great insight, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yep. Anytime.
Enjoy that Kings game, man. That's crazy that you're going. Do you want to real quick? Do you want to tell me how you got or did you just pay for the? Do you live in Sacramento? Like, what's going on? Like,
so I'm living in the Bay Area right now, and a coworker is moving back out to Georgia, and so he was able to hook up some crazy tickets before he leaves out there.
Nice.
And so we're gonna go to. We actually live closer to the Warrior Stadium, but we're gonna go out to Sacramento and watch that game.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
It's a new stadium too. The arena
Yeah.
new, so I'm excited for that.
I don't know if you're on social media, man, but let me know how loud that arena is, because I talked about this earlier. Like, I guess De'Aaron Fox was trying to talk to Mike Brown, and he said he couldn't even hear him because it was that loud in the arena. I can't even imagine going there, man.
I already expected that, knowing the old Kings games when they were good last time.
Right.
You know, because they're in the Pacific Division, and like they had Mike Bibby. He's from Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. He went to my high school.
Yeah. Oh, you went to
Down Mountain.
I played a tournament at that high school too, so it's crazy.
Nice.
It's like a full circle moment going to this Kings game.
That's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
Good for you, man.
All right, man.
Enjoy that game, brother. Take care. Feel free to call into the show anytime, man.
Oh, for sure. In the playoffs, for sure. Yep.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. Have a good time, man.
Yep.
Later.
Take care.
Great call-in guest. My guy Super Mario Hoops is standing by, but we are going to get in Suns Fan Florida real quick. Suns Fan Florida, can you hear me?
I can hear you guys. Hello,
What's up,
good evening
man?
to everybody.
Yeah, good evening, man. What's going on, bro? Talk to me, man.
Man, I think honestly, man, those two missed free throws by Booker, those two missed free throws late, and then Jock Landale missing a free throw, that swung the momentum. We were going, he got fouled 86 feet away from it, missed both free throws. That doesn't happen often. He's 86% this season, about 90 almost for his career.
Thank you for bringing that up.
And then you got to realize those late rebounds, that's not going to happen all the time. I mean, so many things went wrong that normally don't, so I don't want to look at the negative. I still think Suns in 6. I just think, again, all those late rebounds by Westbrook, blocking Booker, and then throwing it back in bounds off of, come on, man. That's not going to happen all the time. Booker missing 2 late free throws. Jock Landale's good, but we need Biombo, man. He's a little more hustle player, a little quicker. Landale seems like he's slow on his feet. He seems like he's heavy-footed for some reason, man. We need somebody with a little bit of spring.
I love it, man. Keep going, man. That's great.
And honestly, Durant had 5 assists in that quarter, 0 field goal attempts. We need Durant to be a scorer, not an assist man. That's
preach.
That's what we need him for. We need him to take those shots. Yeah, he got 10 points off of those, maybe 13 points. But if Durant shoots it more, I need him to score, man. We need Durant to get 38, just like Kawhi, man. Whatever Kawhi, you got to mirror him. Durant's that good. He needs to mirror their best player, and then the rest will fall into place.
Yes, sir, man. I 110% agree with you. I feel like I haven't given Kawhi his flowers tonight. He was fantastic. He looked like prime Kawhi, if you will. But you're right. I mean, even though we all know KD can play make, and I did reference it a little earlier, especially with him and Torrey Craig, he needs to score. It's just the bottom line. He needs to be better. He needs to be more aggressive and hit those shots. Any final thoughts, man? You've been a great guest, but I got somebody waiting in the wings, man.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Those are my thoughts, man. I'm just going to go ahead and listen and take it in.
Man. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
All right, no problem.
Call in anytime, brother. I appreciate the insight.
Appreciate it. Everybody have a great night.
You too, brother. Thanks, man.
Nope.
Great guest, Suns from Florida. Thanks, man. That was awesome. I need it. You guys have been awesome tonight. Like, seriously, you guys have been all great. Thank you guys for calling in. We're going to bring back Super Mario Hoops, friend of the channel. Kind of caught him off guard there. What's up, man?
What's up?
Not much, bro. I have a few things we can talk about to kind of wrap up this show. I sort of, one thing I love about StreamYard is they let you kind of highlight Suns comments. And I hate to sound negative, but there's one comment I want to pull up and kind of get your thoughts on.
This man, Suns Geek, praises StreamYard like every other day.
Suns fans are probably going to kill me for this comment, but I have to read it. This is from Rob Bart. Now, I'm playing messenger here. Don't kill the messenger. How would you feel if the Suns got knocked out of the first round if they don't make changes? How do you think the media would describe it? Let me answer the first question first. First off, you know the media. You know Kendrick Perkins, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, etc. They would fucking kill us. It would be, the Suns are the biggest disappointment, and Devin Booker this, and Kevin Durant that, and Monty Williams that, and James Jones messed up, and blah, 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 all that stupid shit. And you know what? Let's be real. I don't know if I could necessarily defend the Suns if they lost in the first round. Any thoughts on this comment? I noticed that comment. I was like, damn it, I have to talk about that. What do you think about that, man?
My concern with just like the Suns right now is like, of course they came into this game. They're 8-0 in the KD era. Now they're 8-1. Is that
God, you just said that. That's oh my God.
But
I'm sorry.
The point is though, like they haven't played, I think other than Denver, who I think rested everybody like both times. I don't think they've played a team multiple times with Durant and like this unit together. So how is Monty Williams going to make adjustments with the new group, that he hasn't been too familiar with? We'll have to see. That's like the biggest thing. And like, that's the kind of the scary thing, I guess, like, cause even though this team, they're like the Clippers are missing first ballot Hall of Famer, Paul George.
Thank you for saying that.
I'll repeat that. First ballot Hall of Famer, Paul George, because he is. But the point is like, so even without him, this team is still good enough to compete. Like you don't want to like lay off the gas or anything like that against them. But so what I will say is if they got knocked out in the first round, I think at least one of, maybe both, but at least one of this dynamic, maybe with Monty Williams or DeAndre Ayton would probably go, just because I feel like it's going to arise again. Something's going to happen. It's going to expand more. This is just, at the end of the day, like most NBA players will tell you, this is just one game, and even the players that have won like playoff games before or been in the playoffs before, even players that haven't made the playoffs before that win a playoff game. I don't know if you saw the Kings game the other day, like when the Kings won and Malik Monk's like, that's just one, like we need 4, and he has no playoff experience, right? Like, so they know that this is going to be a long series, no matter if it's 4 games or 7 games, it's going to feel long regardless, just because this is the NBA. But what I will say is if they got knocked out in the first round, if it gets closer to that point where, they're teetering around, like they've lost 3 games and then maybe they're going to lose the 4th one, I feel like something might arise there in this scenario. If they lost in the finals, like it would still sting, but at least like I don't feel like they fell short of expectations, especially in year 1, right? But a first round exit with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, which is probably the best big 4 talent-wise in basketball, that would be, especially when Paul George is out, like I said, like that would be a huge disappointment. And how the media would describe it, there's 2 things that I think the media is going to look at the most. They're going to look at Chris Paul and they're going to look at Kevin Durant, because these guys have been around for so long and the narratives have already been made about him. The narrative with Kevin Durant, he can't win without the super team warriors.
His legacy.
Like that. Yeah. And he got criticized so much last year against Brooklyn. And, to a degree, it was fair, I think. I mean, like maybe not too much just because he didn't have much support around him, but I think it was warranted. If he can't win, like still here, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And for Chris Paul, I mean, he's not on a guaranteed deal. I think next year it's partially or something like that, or they can like rework the contract or something. Like I think this is the last year it's fully guaranteed, if I'm correct, right? So who's to say the Suns don't want to move in a different direction at that point, And it's like, you know what? He's getting older, because this year, like, let's not kid ourselves. He took a step back. He did. Last year, for most of the year, he was top 5 in MVP until like the last month and a half. Then he got hurt. Then Booker took over, and he even played great in the playoffs. He had 16 to 16 against New Orleans in the first round last year. So he definitely took a step back. I think ever since his birthday last year against Dallas. But the point is, like, they might want to move on from him too. So I think between Chris Paul, Monty Williams, and DeAndre Ayton, you might see shake up there. But like with those guys, I mean, Devin Booker's going to be around for a while because he's Devin Booker, right? Like point blank simple.
He ain't going anywhere.
And they just got Kevin Durant. They're not going to get rid of Kevin Durant. They're running it back next year no matter what with those 2 guys. But I can see something happen. Maybe they get rid of Chris Paul or DeAndre Ayton and they bolster the bench more, or maybe get more defensive firepower inside or something, or that's, or maybe a coaching change too. But I don't know who that coach would be. I feel like when
Billy
we talk
Donovan. I'm just kidding.
no, then they would be finished. But I feel like everyone throws around Ime Udoka, but I don't know if that would really fit. Like with, I mean, I guess he does experience coaching Durant like as an assistant, so maybe. But
He's
I don't
been to
know.
the finals and all that, but
yeah, and he's been around. He's been around some women.
So real quick, I don't mean to cut your thoughts off. I don't mean to cut you off, but this happened like 20 minutes. Well, it probably happened like an hour ago. But Complex Sports shared this. I don't know if you saw this. Dwayne Rankin, who covers the Suns for Arizona Central, retweeted this. I guess Westbrook got like in a fight. Not in a fight. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sounding over dramatic. He had a little incident with a fan and apparently said, "Watch your mouth, mother effer." So we're going to react to this. We're going to watch this. I don't know why we're going to do this, but we're just going to watch it. You ready for this?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Watch him out. Take it like a man. Watch him out. Watch him out. Straight like that. Watch him out. Talk about it. Be about it. Westbrook.
Where are you?
We gotta watch it again.
Take it like a man. Watch him out. Watch him out. Straight like that. Watch him out. Talk about it. Be about it. Westbrook.
Okay.
Wait, what? Like, I'm okay. So I mean, you've probably been to, I'm assuming Suns games since the footprint thing existed, but like, what part of the arena is that? I don't even.
That was my first thought. I was like, wait a minute. Like, when was there a nice looking suite or suit or whatever right by the players' tunnel?
Mm-hmm. I thought like, because at the United Center for the Bulls, the suites are on the second floor, like in the walkways and stuff. So I'm like, why was Westbrook on the second floor or something like that? Like, I was like, what?
Look, I don't mean to sound cheesy or like corny, but I was talking with the Suns jam session about this, and they were actually the ones that brought it up. I don't know if you've seen the gif of the guy that's like counting money in the stands. You might have seen it. Yeah, and there was the Suns in 4 thing, which I was a little critical on, even though the dude did get punched first. I totally understand why he'd punch back. I was a little critical on that. And I was critical on why Devin Booker shouldn't have rewarded him. That was sort of a hot take on my part. I think Devin Booker shouldn't have rewarded that guy. But anyways, that's in the past. It's whatever. And I was a little critical of Suns fans going the Suns in 4, the whole meme and all that. So the reason I wanted to share this is because look, in all fairness to Russell Westbrook, I don't know what that fan said to him. Maybe that fan said some terrible things to Westbrook. Because why else would Westbrook respond to that? Suns fans need to be better.
I think like, well,
they need to be better.
This is just an NBA thing because we've seen fans like now whether some of the things that have happened with Westbrook are exaggerated, that you could say that just because it's happened so frequently, but at the same time, like you also got to look at how easily of a target he is, especially because now he's with the Lakers. But even before that, like you saw that Jazz fan that called him something. You saw that one Philly fan that flipped him off like right by courtside. Like we've seen so many incidences with him and other fan altercations. I think he was even like yelling at people in the bubble, which is insane because there was only like a dozen people there, like in person. But so we've seen stuff with him a lot. And whether sometimes you could say maybe he was right for defending himself or like maybe he was out of line and took it too personal or it was too sensitive or whatever. The point is like people, they need to be better and they need to be more aware of like these things, especially like now, you know, maybe like 10 years ago, you could get away with some of this stuff and like players would use it as fuel and then they talk back to you like kind of in the same way, but like wouldn't like be like an aggressor or anything like that. Like now I feel like it's a little bit harder to get away with that. So people just got to be careful. And especially if you're a fan, like I feel like this year too, more than anything, like we've seen people just throw out fans. Like if you're a player, like be like, I want him out. I don't know who did it. I think it might've been, was it Trae Young or Someone did it like where
Yeah.
they just like pointed at someone. They're like, I want him out, and like it didn't even seem like they said anything.
Right. I'm just playing this on mute so people can know what we're talking about. But like,
Yeah.
you know, Booker has talked to fans in the stands and so many players. And I mean, this guy got a little too tough. I mean, he's standing up in front of a security guard or what looks like a security guard. And by the way, I just want to point this out for the Suns fans that know. The guy that's walking behind, I believe that's one of the Suns photographers of all people. I think that's Savage. Suns fans probably know who I'm talking about. I believe that's him. I could be wrong. I'm curious to see if he heard anything. Maybe he tweeted about it. Just thought I'd bring that up. But that's interesting because look at the tunnel. Like, look, it's like right, like the court's right there. What is this building? I'll just say this: the last time I went to a Suns game, that was not there.
Yeah.
And again,
I mean, like I said, I've never been to a Suns game personally, so I don't know. But
maybe I'm a Westbrook defender here. I just think maybe the Sun. I don't know what the Suns fan said, but like, why? I don't know. It's sort of both sides of the story. It's like a he said, she said situation. I don't know. I just thought I would react to this video, get your thoughts on it. I'm not saying Westbrook's wrong. I'm sort of saying the Suns fan is wrong. I have said that. But like, this is just weird, man. Like, this is just more drama. I mean, look at that. Like the Suns fan stands up like he's going to do something. But like, this is Russell Westbrook, dude. Like, what is going on, man?
Also, can we talk about how that kid in the blue jersey was trying to eat the plate? Like, rewind
I'm trying to eat my food, man.
Rewind it. He was like trying to eat the plate. He wasn't even like going for the food. Like,
dude, you have the best eyes.
Like, what is he doing?
Breaking news on Suns Geek.
That's kind of sus, actually. Like, look at that freeze.
You know what? We gotta lower all this stuff.
I think you need to make that.
Graphics.
I think you need to make that your profile picture on Twitter or something for the day. Just that guy eating.
This will forever be a Suns moment in history. Kid eating food and his dad or brother, or whoever, starting a fight.
It looks
Russell
like eggs
Westbrook.
or something. Like
steak and eggs. I like how that's what we're focusing on. Like, let me see if I can like zoom in. Like, hold on. We're gonna
just call him the Sun Steak Kid.
The Sun Steak. Well, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Can we actually? No, we can't do it. Oh, that sucks. Man, I could screenshot it, but like, God, that's great, man. I'm gonna get this picture right here and put it on a T-shirt.
You should get like Westbrook's face in it too, like looking at the dad, like. Or whatever, like what are you letting your son do?
Oh, speaking of Suns Twitter real quick, I posted this earlier and I kind of did it on purpose just because the Suns kind of deserved it. I said Suns lost game 1, bruh. Look at Monty Williams' face. Look at Chris Paul's face. That was me after the game, dude. Like, I'll humble myself. We lost.
Yeah,
we should be reacting like this.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like even like with the loss, I wouldn't be taking it too hard. Like, I don't know. I haven't even like, you know how I feel about the Lakers and you know how I feel about Donovan Mitchell and all this other stuff. Like, you know, I feel about Giannis. Like a lot of their game ones went the wrong way I wanted. But even then, like I'm not like too worried yet. You know, if it gets 2-0, 2-0 is a little bit different, you know.
I'm going to be pissed off if we go down 2-0.
I mean, if the Clippers had Chris Paul and then they went up 2-0, then maybe you'd be fine. But no, I don't know. Someone said that in chat about like at least Chris Paul can't blow a 2-0 lead. Neymar. Yeah. That's why I had to throw that out there.
Suns Geek, I have a question. Do you think the Suns are ignorant at times during the regular season? They definitely are because we lost.
Like Suns fans or Suns players?
Because
I was gonna say like I think the Suns players like just in general like they're ignorant of like not getting Kevin Durant the ball when they need to is what I was gonna say.
Right.
Like I feel like sometimes like I get it. He wasn't being too aggressive in the second half today himself, and he probably should have been more aggressive. But there were times that they could have also fed him more too.
Game 2 is an absolute must win. Absolutely. Like we cannot come out the same way we did in this game.
I think game 2 you guys will win, and then I told you I think game 1 today. I told you before the game I think the Clippers will win today, and the Suns will win game 3. But then it'll be Clippers game 4, then Suns game 5. I think Clippers will win game 6, and Kawhi will go off for like a game he had against Dallas game 6 in 2021. And then game 7, I'll go with the Suns. But man, if it goes to game 7, that's going to be like a crazy game. There's so much at stake for both teams. Because it's like, even if you're the Clippers and even if they're injured, like then if you lose, like, what do you think about going forward? Like this is the 4th year. You had the bubble, but of course, like a lot of the role players weren't really there. Then every other year, it's been either Kawhi or George injured. And then as for the Suns, it's like, this is the 3rd year since making the finals. Like, what are you going to do? And then, so there's a lot at stake for both these teams.
I'm glad you brought this up because I highlighted this comment from Ingram Prod. Apparently, Brandon Ingram's biggest fan. He said, another factor is that the Clippers have nothing to lose if they lose to the Suns, or the Suns do. I sort of disagree with this. And I talked about this sort of in my Q&A Suns Clippers first round series with the Suns Jam Session podcast. And I brought it up for a reason. Kawhi Leonard and PG, I believe, are unrestricted free agents at the end of 2025.
Think so, yeah.
And I guess my point being was, how much longer do you really go with this Kawhi Leonard, PG, heck, even Russell Westbrook, even though he's an unrestricted free agent?
Oh, he's like, I feel like he's probably gone or he's on a way.
That's my point. I'm like, I don't know how much further you really go. And yeah, Steve Ballmer's got all the money in the world, and yeah, he can pay, but like you sort of like with your Bulls, like you got to make some kind of a move if the Clippers don't win. I'm not trying to sound like a Clippers hater, but like it's the truth. I mean, this is what you mentioned, year 4 or whatever. Like,
yeah, they're both they can be free agents in 2024. They have a player option to go for 2025.
Yeah, thank you.
And I feel like regardless, I mean, assuming like neither of them suffer another injury next year, I feel like both of them will opt out to get more money. That's just how it works. But if it's not working next year, like then you might want to try and make a move, because what if they both leave? I mean, right. You think Kawhi would want to be there because he left the Toronto Raptors, who just won a championship, to go to LA. And then, but Paul George, he's also playing at home. You never know what's going on through his mind. Maybe he's happy there, maybe not. But like what I will say is, I think I do agree and I disagree with this. I agree they have nothing to lose, because if you look at just this series as a whole, nobody's going to blame the Clippers that they lose just because Paul George is out. The Suns, even with the, even if Paul George is playing, I think the Suns would still be favored in this series. So they're kind of playing with house money. If they win, it's like, it's going to look great. But if they lose, it's like, well, they were missing Paul George. They weren't really the favorites to win it anyways. So in that respect, I do agree. But I also disagree, like you said, like the last 4 years, the best chance they probably had, like health-wise, was the bubble. But even then, people forget that, like, Lou Williams was in Magic City, and Patrick Beverley missed some of the 8 bubble games, and Landry Shamet and Montrezl Harrell was helping, I think, his grandmother who passed away. So like all those guys were out for those games, like to lead up to it. And that's why they got off to a rocky start against Dallas. And then they obviously didn't play too great against the Denver Nuggets after they went up 3-1. So I don't know. Like it hasn't felt like there's been one time where it's like their core players have all came in, bought in, like with a rhythm or anything like that, which is kind of surprising to me, because it hasn't felt like an injury thing has happened with these teams other than like the last couple years. I think maybe 2015, like when Love and Kyrie got injured in the finals, and Pau Gasol got injured for my Bulls, and I think Dwight Howard for the Rockets. Like that's probably the first time that like key players were injured, like in a playoff series that like was so impactful. Like obviously injuries have always happened, but like so many of them is what I mean. And I feel like maybe almost every year since, there's been some, maybe not so much 2016, but even then you could look at like Bogut, and Iguodala and even Curry playing through an injury.
Sean Livingston.
Sean Livingston, yeah. So I don't know. Like, it just feels weird. So, but they have to figure it out then. Like, and I think I don't know if you saw this with Paul George and what he said. He actually said this a week before he did get injured. And he said that he thinks the reason people have been getting injured more is actually because people aren't practicing enough. And what he meant by that is that, like, people will come in, like, they'll play a game, then they'll have a day off, then they'll have another game, then they'll have 2 days off, then they'll have a game, rather than they'll play a game, then they'll practice, then they'll play a game, then they'll practice, day off, play a game. So it's like you're putting,
right,
yeah,
you're like not right,
putting it on, all on,
Yeah.
and then all off, and then on, off. Like, it's kind of, it's hard to do that. Like, when people do training and stuff like that, or workout or whatever, usually there's maybe like 1-2 off days or something like that. That's why people say, like, there's a cheat day, like, in the week or something like that. So, but like the other 5-6 days, you're still working consistently. So it almost feels like there's like 3 cheat days mixed in between there, like with NBA players now. And maybe that's why there's been so many more injuries, but I think maybe that could be part of it, but I don't know. There has to be some reason why it's happened for so much over the last few years, as opposed to back then. I mean, my guy Yao Ming, injury prone as he can be, would you believe he has more 82-game seasons than LeBron James, who's labeled as one of the most durable players ever?
No way. That's not true.
It is true. Look it up.
Dude, I'm an NBA history guy. That's not true.
It is true.
What?
It is true. Yao Ming has played 82 games, more seasons than LeBron.
Dude, my mind.
First 2 years.
Okay, Suns fans, NBA fans, if you're just joining the channel, believe me when I say I consider myself to be an NBA historian. But my guy Super Mario Hoops here is the better NBA historian, because I legit did not know that.
Well, I mean, I know my guy Yao Ming.
I've studied the history of this league, but I guess I haven't studied Yao Ming.
Yao Ming is I've said it before, he's my second favorite player ever. D Rose gets the nod over him, but yeah, you probably wouldn't believe that.
Dude, that's nuts.
Even I think D Rose has the same amount of 80+ game seasons as LeBron too. And you think all those had to be early in his career as well, which they were. So you think there has to be a rapid change over the past like 10-ish years to make that happen. And maybe it could be that, but
maybe this is a conversation for another time, but maybe this is a reason why we've heard certain conversations to where
IFB is saying that's a lie. It is not a lie.
I was just going to say, maybe this is why we've heard certain conversations to where some people have said maybe they need to shorten the season, which I don't really agree with, but I kind of do. Sort of like the Paul George comment with practicing. He's kind of right, but I feel like he's kind of not right. I mean, dude, this is basketball, man. This is how it's been done for 75 years, 76 years now. You know what I mean?
Oh, I guess the D Rose thing was kind of a lie. I was kind of right. Like, Rose has as many 81 game seasons as LeBron. But LeBron has another 80 game year, and the next most for Rose is 78. But either way, like, I mean, you see all these like 80, 81, 82 game seasons from back then. Every All-Star's missed a game this year, you know, and up until like the last month, everyone had already missed a game except Julius Randle. Like, he was the only All-Star that hadn't. So
that's what I was going to say. It was like Julius Randle, Mikal, and like some bunch of role players that played like all 82 games.
Mikal Bridges will be the anomaly next year, but like, I don't know. I just think it's
Mikal Bridges. You know what? Just for old time's sake, can we just play the old Mikal Bridges drop that I made like a long time ago that I haven't deleted out of StreamYard? We just got to do it. First, I got to lower this Austin Reeves comment. And just for old time's sake, we got to play the old Mikal Bridges drop.
Suns fans, go Mikal Bridges, Mikal Bridges, Mikal Bridges. This Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges.
Why do I not remember Benny the Bull and that dinosaur going at it in the background? I never remember that, and I've seen that drop like a dozen times.
I think someone from Suns Twitter posted that a long time ago, and I like saved it. It's so good. You know what? Mikhail's been cooking. He literally is the definition of an NBA Iron Man. And besides maybe that second half of that first, game one, he freaking played amazing. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up for old time's sake. I was thinking about this too. I was like, when Mikal Bridges plays his first home game, against Phoenix, the crowd is going to erupt. Same thing with Cam Johnson too.
Facts.
Yeah.
I'll answer Mark Cooper's question about Billy Donovan because I noticed.
Yeah, he's
just
been
noticed he said it twice.
Sorry. Yeah.
Simple answer: yes, he needs to be fired. Will he be fired? No.
Here we go. Yeah, I had it highlighted. Super Mario, what do you think of Billy Donovan? Will he be fired? Would you fire him?
I would fire him, and unfortunately, Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley will not. They said rebuild. We want to retool. Oh my god! Like they're gonna make me like. I'm not kidding. They're gonna make me lose my mind.
Dude, I'm not even a Bulls fan, and I'm just as heated as you are about that.
Next season, I'm gonna have like a little like lid on top of my head because I'm gonna have carved out my brain just so I can lose my mind. Okay, like I'm gonna go through that much effort. If I see Nikola Vucevic as the starting center next year, and I love Vucevic, but if he's the starting center next year, and I got to see him and Patrick Beverley pick and rolls, I might as well just become a Hornets fan. Like. I mean, my goodness.
That's saying something because they're pretty terrible. Although they were injured, I think they would have been a little better if they were healthy. But
I might. Well, then I'll become a Bobcats fan. I'll protest the league to get the Bobcats back rather than support the Bulls.
I just think if you guys don't make 2 moves at max, 2 big moves, then I'll be furious. I'll do a random Bulls live rant show just for
DeMar
you.
to Charlotte. Vucevic DeMar to Charlotte, Levine to Dallas, Vucevic to Shanghai, and Billy Donovan can honestly, I don't know, like he can become like a I have no idea even, like a tour guide or whatever, like at a zoo.
Suns in 5, everything went right for the Clippers, which I kind of agree with. We played like trash for the first 15 minutes. Ayton and Paul mid-ranges went down. I do agree with that. One kept going in, and Kawhi dropped 40. I think he had 38. And Book was fouled, not repeatable. I feel like some of those calls on Book were kind of bad. Just saying.
Yeah. I think like there was a stretch where the calls just were bad. I think like they missed. I don't remember. I think they missed that one call or whatever on Kawhi at the end of the half or something, like where he just threw the ball over his head, and then like afterwards they made up for it with like some weak call on Durant or something. Like I don't know. Like I feel like I hate when the referees do that because like why don't you just see the game?
Right.
You know, like
you're right there. You're on the court.
You're there. I'm 1,000 miles away and I can see it better than you. So like, what's the problem here? And TNT, like, no offense, I love the TNT broadcast, but their picture quality is probably like 100 times worse than ESPN.
Dude, my sister who barely watches basketball was saying that tonight.
It always looks like foggy. I don't know. I don't get it. And I love the vibes and stuff. I love the broadcast team. I love the inside crew, even though
I low-key like Stan Van Gundy, although that might be an unpopular opinion.
Even though some people might not like the inside crew.
Me too.
But I don't know. Even though I like the vibes better at TNT, like their camera quality is just not as good. I feel like it just looks foggy a lot of times.
Dude, I thought that was me because the TV that we have downstairs, I'm not gonna lie, it's an older TV, but it's holding up really damn well. It is 1080 and all that shit. Even my TV right next to me.
I wonder if they have like shutter speed or something.
My sister was like, "Why is Chris Paul's face blurred out?" I was like, "I don't know." Like,
yeah,
she kept saying that. I was like, "I don't know."
If we can just get the ESPN production crew, or like the ESPN camera crew and the TNT production crew and broadcast team, you can throw Mike Breen in there too because he's pretty solid. Maybe Mark Jackson, but like you got to limit his roles. Jeff Van Gundy, no thanks. And then you get the NBA on NBC theme, back before games, and that'll be the goated thing. Did you see that thing? NBC's trying to get like rights back for the NBA.
No, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, they're trying to get some rights back.
So my guy Roy asked a pretty interesting question. I don't know if I have the brain cells right now to answer this. Geek, what do you predict game 2 game plan? That's tough to answer because that sort of goes back to my criticism of Monty Williams, but my non-criticism of Torrey Craig. Because I'm like, it's not Torrey Craig's fault that he started and played well. It's not his fault. But like, maybe Josh Okogie needs to see more minutes. Maybe Chris Paul needs to get the ball more in his hands. Maybe KD needs to take over like some of the other guests were saying today.
Why? I don't.
Bench needs to start making some shots. I don't know.
This is why I don't get Monty Williams either, because like for every game that Durant and like the rest of the guys played, like Okogie started.
First comment. Hey, you know what? Yeah. My camera gets like that too sometimes.
Mine like goes in and out and stuff. But I mean, I don't get Monty Williams sometimes because like every game that Durant played with the Suns in regular season, Josh Okogie was that 5th guy that was starting. And then why is today Torrey Craig? I mean, Craig played well, but like imagine if I think honestly, you could have got the same production out of everybody, but if Torrey Craig came off the bench, you guys probably would have won. Just so it had balance on the bench.
Let him cook now.
I mean, realistically though, because then it would have, Durant and Booker, like they're going to alternate most of the game other than the beginning and end of each half. And then if you have Torrey Craig coming off the bench and he provides you 22, how pathetic was the bench tonight? Landale 4, Biyombo 2, and Shamet 4. That was it.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
Our bench needs to be better.
22 or 10 points. The Clippers bench, it was 34-10. Okay. If you throw in Torrey Craig's 22 points tonight, it's 34-32. That's like dead even.
Dude,
right?
Yep. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
I honestly think but I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe, I mean, it obviously didn't affect Torrey Craig. But personally, I wouldn't expect a game like that from him maybe ever again, or at least in this series. But at the same time, it probably affected Josh Okogie because it didn't feel like he impacted the game at all. He had no points. And he played 6 minutes. He didn't do anything hardly. And that's probably not a thing on him. It's probably like I came in with the impression that I'm playing 30 minutes tonight. I'm going to be guarding Kawhi Leonard a lot. And then you're kind of just not even used. Like, I don't know. It just felt kind of weird.
Do you want to go for about like 30 more minutes and then we'll call it? We can just kind of talk about whatever at this point. Chat, if you guys got any questions, let us know. I'm down to go for like another 30 minutes.
We'll talk about the other games too,
that's what I was going to say, because I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch too many games today, but yesterday I was all over it. So we can talk about whatever. Maybe we'll somehow be Suns related. If you guys got any questions, let us know in the chat. I'll try to get to them. We can go for like 30 more minutes.
I think I watched every game a lot except maybe the Celtics Hawks because that game just sucked. Like game was just trash.
Dude, I tweeted that out. I kind of watched a little bit of the first quarter. I went downstairs and did some stuff. I think the Celtics had like a 10-point lead. I came back and they were up by like 20 or 30.
It got ugly fast. And they tried to come back, but everyone knew like they're not coming back.
Should we give Lee some more minutes?
He didn't even play today, did he?
To quote my guy, John, from the Suns Jam Session podcast, Damian Lee's not getting playoff minutes unless we're like desperate. But even then, probably not. It sucks because Romp was right.
Yeah, I was just going to say
he was right again.
Right.
I mean, I even said it. I was like, dude, he was leading the league in 3-point percentage, had some great fourth quarters, and then just fell out of the rotation. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Shout out to Romp. He was right. Any thoughts though on just any of the games that you've seen so far? I mean, again, I didn't watch too many games today, but any games from yesterday, any thoughts, any predictions? What are you thinking, man?
I think, the Eastern Conference, the 2-7 and the 3-6, like both those games, I mean, the Sixers Nets was kind of competitive most of the way. They kind of just
Yeah.
fell apart at the end. I
First
thought
half was great.
Bridges was nice. He didn't get much help though around him. So hopefully next game. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you saw that whole thing with Kuzma and Dinwiddie, that little beef that they had going on. Like right now, like Kuzma's probably like he's probably laughing like at Dinwiddie because he did look like, you know, Din something island.
Din shitty.
Yeah, Din shitty island. But I don't know. I think that series, I still feel like that will go at least 5 or 6. The Cavs Knicks. I kind of expected this.
That was a great game, dude.
I expected that Darius Garland would not come out ready to play in a playoff format, and he didn't. And even though he had like 17 points, he looked like he shot decent. Like, let's face it, he didn't have a great game.
I didn't even notice him, to be honest. And I watched a lot of that game.
He was so unaggressive. And then Evan Mobley, like he started off okay, but then he missed so many layups. Karis LeVert missed so many layups. I'm like, Karis LeVert is making his audition for Shanghai right now.
Didn't he miss one like late in the fourth quarter, I believe?
He missed 4 in the game that I counted. 4. And 3 of them were definitely makeable. That would have won them the game. But I gotta see, this is why I hate, like, you can't always use this haven't won a ring thing. Like, I still think the Cavs would win the series, but you can't use this haven't won a ring thing against everybody because Donovan Mitchell played his butt off the other night. I don't know if you saw, like, he jumped over the scores table to save the one ball out of nowhere. He dove on the floor. He smacked the ball up to, I think it was Osman for a layup or something. And on top of that, he put up almost 40 points, right? Like, this dude is a winner, and I just hope that he can get the teammates around him to put it together. Hopefully now they have a game under their belt, that they have something to show for it. But that's really no excuse because Josh Hart played better than every Cavalier besides Donovan Mitchell the other day, and that was his first playoff game. You know? Like, so I hope they come back. I think they will definitely win game 2, but now it's going to be hard. You got to win one in New York. I think they can do that as well just because the Knicks have actually been better on the road this year than at home, weirdly. So it just kind of sucks because you don't want this series to go too far, and you don't want to give the team that's less talented or has less offensive firepower a chance because then you know what they say, you give these teams that aren't supposed to win a chance, and especially a young team, maybe like the Knicks too, like then they'll give them confidence.
Sorry, when you were talking, I was like reading something that was funny. I'm sorry, but I believe that series is going to go 7 games. I was kind of surprised that the Knicks got that win in game 1, but even with Mitchell's comeback, they still pulled out the win. So I don't know.
I think it'll still go 6. I expected them to blunder one of the first 2 games. So if they split 1-1, that'll be okay. And then I think they'll probably go 2-2. The Cavs will win game 5. And then I think game 6, I think Mitchell's just going to show out just so he can like give New York the last laugh. Kind of.
Did you see that look on his face when he started taking over? And I was like, damn, I thought they were honestly going to win at that point because they had the run, the momentum. But that wasn't the case clearly. But
I mean, you know how I feel about Donovan Mitchell. There's something, a lot of things we're on the same wavelength for, but
you and I have always kind of been. Yeah,
I personally think he's the best shooting guard in the league, and I'm gonna get attacked. That's just my thoughts.
Hey, be easy on my boy Super Mario, y'all.
Devin Booker's great, but to me, not Donovan Mitchell. But no, I don't know. I thought, and then like Bucks Heat, that game was just so. I mean, like Chris Middleton looked good, I guess, so it's good for them.
Giannis went out with the injury.
At least Giannis, I think, will be back though. Like Tyler Hero, he's done.
That sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie, I legit kind of feel bad for him. And who else got hurt today?
Especially because Kevin Love had an injury, but I don't think it was too severe. Especially because like he went to Wisconsin, I believe. So
it was like, Ja Morant got hurt too today.
Yeah, Ja. Oh, I thought you meant like that matchup.
Yeah,
my bad. Yeah. Even AD had an injury, but he kind of came back. But I don't know. I think the Bucks should be fine because I think Giannis will come back next game. They'll probably win that in 5-6 games. And then like the Grizzlies, Lakers, I think the Grizzlies are in trouble.
Yeah.
I think they are.
I think they
because
blew it today, with or without Ja. I think they blew it today.
This is the game you needed to win, especially because we know game one is probably the easiest chance you have to, catch LeBron off guard of any. So the fact you couldn't get the easiest chance, what makes me think I'm going to believe in you when your best player is injured too, especially the way they've been playing. Now, I don't think Rui Hachimura is going to have another 27-point game. Like, even what Desmond Bain said, and people were clowning him because the Grizzlies lost. They're like, that's probably the best game he's ever had in his life, but we'll see if he can do it again. I don't think he'll do it again. Like, I think that's pretty fair to say. But what could happen again is, D'Lo could go off for 15. Austin Reeves could go off for 15. AD and LeBron didn't really dominate. Like, honestly, LeBron was probably their fourth or fifth best player today.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel like he
I'm looking at the
dominated
numbers
the
right
game.
now from Lakers, Grizzlies. I watched a decent amount of that game, but not too much. So I got the numbers pulled up if you need them.
But they had to win today, and I guess shout out to Jaren Jackson because he played better offensively than I expected. And the other thing is he stayed out of foul trouble with a lot of AD duty defensively. So I got to give him credit for that. But, like, honestly, he was the best player today. Yeah. So, and I know Bain turned it on late, but
dude, what's up with Jaren Jackson's rebounding, man? I mean, he averaged like 6 on the season? He had 5 tonight.
He's just not a rebounder. He's an Andrea Bargnani prototype.
Hey, but you are right, though. I mean,
With
37 minutes, 31 points, 2 blocks, 4 assists, 2 threes for what that's worth. But
yeah, they had to win today. Like, I don't know.
I like Vision's comment. Lakers smell blood in the water. Not going to lie. That's kind of fair to say, man. Just saying.
Yeah, I think, well, it depends who they play next matchup, too. And I think, honestly, if they move on, like, I think they will play the Kings. People still high on the Warriors.
On the Kings, dude. They're sleeping on them.
The Sacramento Kings are elite offensively, and they got so many guys. See, this is what I think I've told you this. I've told so many other creators like Clutch Talk and Reek Knows Hoops and all these other guys I've told run the NBA that the Kings, what they have is they have a healthy mix of guys that don't have experience that are hungry and also guys that do have experience in the playoffs. If you put that all together, especially with a multiple-time championship head coach, you have a championship player on your team. You have guys that have had big game 7s before on your team, national champions on your team. You look at all that, like multiple guys have been in the national championship on your team. You look at all that though, like it's a perfect mix, I think. And you saw yesterday who were their 2 best players in the game. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk.
Yep.
They combined for 70 points. And before yesterday, they had no playoff experience. They both came in the same year. 5 years in the league, no playoff games, no playoff minutes combined. And they won them the game. So sometimes
honorable
it's
mention
good.
Too. Sorry to cut you off. Honorable mention too. I thought that Harrison Barnes played very well, and former Phoenix Sun, I thought Alex Len provided some good minutes. He had a small stretch in the 4th quarter where he played a little bit of minutes. I don't remember the stats off the top of my head. I thought they both played great, but I agree with you. They have like a weird combination of like youth, but like guys that haven't really been there and a couple of guys that have. And they are an exciting team to watch. And aren't they like one of the greatest, if not the greatest offense technically of all time, if I remember correctly? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm on the Kings bandwagon is what I'm trying to tell you.
While we're talking about, while we were just talking about Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell and stuff, shout out to the guy that was picked 1 spot before Devin Booker and traded for Donovan Mitchell. Trey Lyles.
Dude, how many threes did he have? Like 7 threes?
He had 4, but he only took 6. This guy is insane. And I feel like every single time I watch a Kings game this year, this dude cooks. I know he's probably not high enough to be considered like a draft bust by a lot of people, but obviously he hasn't panned out to be a star. And especially when you're the guy picked before a guy like Devin Booker, you're going to be held to a standard no matter what. Yeah. But he deserves his flowers too, because this year, especially even last year, like when he first got to the Kings, and this year, this dude has kind of made his career per se. He's not Devin Booker. He's not Donovan Mitchell by any means, but this dude is pretty solid off the bench. And I think honestly, in this series, you might see him play a lot more minutes, like as the series goes on. I was even telling Romp this. I said Keegan Murray's been great this year. He set the 3-point record of any rookie ever.
Yeah.
But at the same
It was like
time,
200 threes or something off the bench.
but at the same time, I think Trey Lyles probably should get more minutes in this series. Maybe not start because you don't want to mess up that rhythm,
More
but
minutes, yeah.
he should get more minutes. At least like 20, maybe 22 a game or something, 24.
Yeah. No, I think you're accurate on that. I'm just saying I'm on the Kings bandwagon. That's been on record. It's been on Twitter for what that's worth.
Al Mack said they think Golden State will win because they got close in an away game, which is a positive sign. That is a positive sign, I will say. I do also think there are a few things, though, that were kind of hard to predict. Do you think Andrew Wiggins is going to play that great again in game 2? I probably don't think so, even though he's shown it before, but coming straight out of nowhere, basically.
Yeah.
Don't know if I expect that. I mean,
especially after missing like 2 months or whatever it was.
I thought Draymond, even though he wasn't scoring well, I thought he played like a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see that. I mean, really, Sabonis and Herter, these guys were awful too.
Yeah.
Like and I think it took them till the fourth quarter before any of their starters made a 3. The Beam team, by the way, the Beam team. It took them till the fourth quarter before any of their starters made a 3. And Keegan Murray, like I said, played bad. So I don't know. I think also, like, you look at the Warriors, they're kind of older. You know, the old legs might be tough. You know, how often this year has Klay Thompson played consistently, like, games, like, in such a quick moment? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he sat out a lot of back-to-backs. And the bad thing about them is they play game 2 tomorrow, and I think they play game 3 on Thursday. So it's like there's only one game in between. Now, granted, the travel time isn't as bad, like, because they're so close.
The bus, yeah.
But still, I mean, I think that still plays a factor.
I was going to say that too. I feel like that's kind of an underrated factor is the travel, but not necessarily because, again, kind of like I sort of mentioned earlier, like this is the NBA. These guys are professionals. I don't care if you're flying across the country. You play away games wherever you play them. These guys know how to do it. But
the thing is too, like, even though, like, so you like we even said the travel, it's not that much. So that's a positive with the road away thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Although if you're the Warriors, even it's like they might have thought in Sacramento, because like as a Bulls fan, even last year when we played Milwaukee in the first round and Milwaukee was the favorites and stuff, there were more Bulls fans in the crowd than Bucks fans. Okay. With how, even though we were not better than them, we basically paid their seats. Okay. Let's keep it real. The Warriors fans don't get that luxury in Sacramento because Sacramento has a deep fan base. So they probably thought they were going to come in there and they were going to rule the show. Oh, it's going to be like a home game. You know, it's going to be nice. I'm sure there's a lot of Warriors fans there still, but a majority of that is going to be Kings fans, and they're going to be just as loud, maybe louder in game 2 now that they have a playoff win.
Yeah.
So
real quick, I don't mean to sound like preacher here, but I've heard some other content creators, NBA people talk about this. I actually responded to a tweet about this, about some people not being happy for the Kings and the way that Kings fans were apparently reacting or celebrating, if you will. And I guess my point being is, can't we just respect the game and just be happy that the Sacramento Kings had a great season, won a playoff game in 60? It's like the Suns, dude. We went 10 years without being in the playoffs, finally made it, you know, won a playoff game, you know, et cetera, et cetera. The rest is history, made the finals, 64 wins, blah, blah, this season included. It's like, I understand that playoff drought. I understand, especially the loyal Kings fans that have been there throughout the past few years.
10 years after Steve Nash. Last
heck, even like the Timberwolves. Like, I'm friends with my guy Andrew, who's Let's Talk Wolves on Twitter and all that. Like, he gets the drought here and there. Like, so many franchises and rosters understand the playoff drought. And like, these so-called like basketball fans are like, well, the Kings fans are out of line and they shouldn't be happy and they're going to be a first round exit. It's like, dude, who cares, man? They're going to go out swinging. They're going to go out fighting. And that Kings crowd, old fans or new fans, are still going to be there. Just like Suns fans, even though I'm sort of critical of some Suns bandwagon fans, they're still here, win or lose. For the most part, it's like, we just need to respect the game, man. And I don't really know where I was going with that, but I saw people talking, and I responded to a tweet earlier. I was like, those are the fans that don't respect basketball. So I don't know. Just be better basketball fans.
I do think that my Western Conference Finals matchup was actually Suns versus Kings. So
dude,
that'd be kind of insane. That'd be nice to see, but especially because, you get that Trey Lyles, Devin Booker matchup that we have all been waiting for. No, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. I think people need to I mean, even like for the Bulls, like we didn't miss it nearly as much as that, but like it felt like forever from the last time we made the playoffs until last year, like just that long stretch. Maybe just because like the 1 year we made it last, it felt like they tore apart our heart, like with everyone they got rid of, like the Rose and the Joakim and stuff like that. And it felt like the end of an era and stuff. And then we only made it once after that, but it almost felt like 8 or 7 years. And that felt like a while for me,
Just real quick, who do you got? Suns, Nuggets, or not Suns, Nuggets. Nuggets, Minnesota. I'm not watching the game, but I have been looking at the scoreboard. They're up by like 30 right now. So
yeah, Jamal Murray is looking like Jamal McFlurry. He's not playing good.
Nuggets in 5, and yeah, Jamal Murray is the most overrated player of all time. But anyways,
I think the Nuggets will also win in 5, and
I think Minnesota will probably get 1, but
I think Jeff Teague is the most overrated of all time.
I agree, Geek. I was happy for the Seattle Mariners not making the playoffs for 20 years, even though they beat my favorite team, the Oilers, by 3 games. Can Landry Shamet get put out of the rotation?
Facts.
I'll just say this. 4 points in 24 minutes tonight. Unacceptable. This is the playoffs, dude. This has been a trend for weeks, months now. I don't care if you missed how many games he missed, 2 months, whatever worth.
Yeah, he's trash.
Monty Williams, I read an article earlier, and this article is like from a few weeks ago, but Monty Williams was like, oh, and I've sort of backed up Landry Shamet, so I can't be a hypocrite. I'll admit it. I've talked well about Landry Shamet when I probably shouldn't have. Monty Williams is like, oh, he can switch on defense. And he's got good size, and he does this and that. But dude, he's not making shots. He can't hit a shot to save his life right now.
He couldn't even really defend
4 points in 24
today.
minutes.
Like he was getting cooked every time, like he was defending anybody. Like I don't even know. I think he was on Eric Gordon a lot, and you saw how Eric Gordon played today. I know sometimes Kawhi got the switch on him, and Kawhi made him look like I don't even know. Like he made him look like Kawhi was Thanos and just snapped his fingers.
I'm just going over my notes to see if I wrote anything down about Shamet, and I have nothing. I'm looking.
Dwayne Bacon. Yo, I saw Dwayne Bacon at the McDonald's All-American game in 2015. That man was a bucket.
He looked good.
Not really.
Is he still in the league?
You know who looked good actually in that game? And I think he was the MVP. Former Phoenix Sun, Shaq Diallo.
Oh man.
He was insane.
Shaq Diallo.
Yeah, that dude. I believe he was the MVP. It was either him or Diamond Stone, if you remember. That's a former former Clipper. Now they're playing against each other. Yeah, he was. It was Shaq Diallo.
Why ain't we using TJ? We need to use TJ next game, in my opinion.
Bring back TJ Leaf in the NBA and get him.
Kyle says, I honestly think our whole bench needs work. Everyone wants to blame Monty, but if your role players are inconsistent, then you have no choice but to experiment to see what works. Real quick. Not saying I disagree with you, Kyle. And I don't know why Monty did this, but why would you experiment in the playoffs? would you agree Monty kind of did that today? I mean, he played like 11 guys.
He did in the playoffs. In the playoffs, coaches need to become Tom Thibodeau in the playoffs. You need to play 8 guys, and you need to have it established from there. If you look at the Clippers tonight, Clippers only played 9 guys, and honestly, I think one of the guys that didn't play probably should be in the rotation, and Robert Covington over maybe I'm not going to name who because I don't know if there's a Clipper fan watching of that said player, but I don't know. I think like 8 or 9 guys is what you need. And like at this point, 11, like it's not going to cut it. And look at the bench numbers too. Like Landry Shamet played a godly amount of minutes.
24 minutes.
And everyone else like didn't even feel like they played hardly.
Dude, you low-key scared me when you were talking about, first off, how Robert Covington didn't even play any minutes. But you said something along the lines of like, Norman Powell and Trey Mann combined for 24 points.
Terrence Mann, yeah.
Yeah, Terrence, I'm sorry. I get those names mixed up. There's so many Manns in the NBA, but
even
that scared me, dude.
Yeah, that is. But even then, like, I still think both of them could play better. So they combined for 24 points. On the season, they averaged 26. So they could even play better. And I already told you, Terrence Mann didn't like shoot the ball that well, or not shoot the ball that well, but he didn't make good decisions. He had 4 turnovers. It felt like he had the one, he was careless and he like drove in. And I think someone drew an offensive foul. It might have been Booker or something on him.
He had 4 turnovers, 3 fouls. Terrence
had
Mann.
No awareness at all. Yeah. He had the dumb foul where he at the end of the quarter where he fouled Booker 86 feet away from the basket. It's like, what are you doing? They're in the bonus. Why would you even do that? Like, I don't know. Like he made some mistakes that I thought were bad for him, especially because usually in games, like big-time games, he usually comes up big for them. So I expect him to play better next game. And like I said, Norman Powell, like he had 14 points, but he averages 17 on the year. He's the best bench scorer in the league this year. So even then, like he could still play better. So, and of course, like I said, Robert Covington should probably get minutes over a certain player. I'm not going to say who, but
I didn't know this until up until today, and I think you just referenced it. They showed on the broadcast Norman Powell's averaging like 17 off the bench.
Yep.
Westbrook's averaging like 16. I guess Powell's had 9 games with 25 plus points off the bench.
I guess
I like legit did not know that.
Westbrook doesn't count so much now. I know they showed him, but he doesn't count so much now because he starts. But yeah, I think it was like Powell, then Ben Mathurin.
Like I knew Norman Powell was a good scorer, but I didn't think it was like number 1 off the bench kind of scoring. Like, oh my God.
And like they even had Poole on there, but Poole doesn't really count as a 6th man because he started over half the games.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, realistically, it's like I'm surprised he honestly wasn't in 6th man of the year, like finalist talk. Like I feel like this is going to be the D Rose fan in me, I feel like maybe, but I still feel like Emmanuel Quickley is getting overrated for a 6th man of the year candidacy, just because every game that he performs well, like he's starting and everyone's missing on their team. You know, they're missing 4 or 5 guys, you know, like that almost, I don't know. It just feels like a stat padding and losing type of thing. Like, how are you 6th man of the year if all your best games, your best stats, your best moments come as a starter? And so even though he played more games than like the Portises and the Brogdons of the world, like he came off the bench for less of them.
Right.
So I don't know. I just feel like, and Norman Powell, like he's played a majority of the year. He's come off the bench basically all year long. Like surprised he didn't get in as a nod over that. But you know, these New York writers, they're going to do what they can to get whatever they can out of it. And that's why I'm kind of scared that he might actually win the award when Malcolm Brogdon clearly deserves it. So
is that your pick for 6th man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon?
Easily. Yep. It was my
pick. I think
pick.
you've talked about that before. But
it was my pick even before the year. Like, so before the year, I picked Norman Powell, but I said, I don't know what they're going to do with Brogdon. If Brogdon comes off the bench, I would pick him.
Right.
So that was kind of my pick because they ultimately went with Marcus Smart and Derek White to start, and then Brogdon is 6th man. So,
right. Well, Super Mario, I am a little burnt out here, so I think we'll kind of just give our final thoughts on anything and everything, and then we'll wrap it up. I do appreciate you not only joining earlier today, but joining, just now and earlier and all that good stuff. You brought great analysis, great insight, hilarious insight, especially with that Russell Westbrook and the fan thing. That was so funny.
And that kid, the Suns.
I can't wait to clip that and upload it. It's gonna be so good. But just any final thoughts, man? Any like hot takes or predictions or just anything, man? Like what's going on with you? Any I know you've been uploading a lot too. I know that you and I sort of have been doing some stuff, with that trivia segment and all that. I mean, what's going on, man? Talk to me.
But behind the scenes, yeah. I mean, yeah, just trying to get back into the groove. Going to be finishing school soon, so that's good. I'll have more time. Thank you. And then have more time to focus on myself, focus on videos, and watch basketball. So it's always the best thing. I don't know if I have any hot takes right now. I guess
Suns in 5.
maybe. I will say like maybe a hot take, but I feel like this might be like crazy to think of, but I would not be surprised if, I'm sure you've seen the Damian Lillard quotes lately about how he's like pushing out, like, I'm going to reevaluate this offseason, like after what the team does. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've seen some of these things before. And like when we saw like AD request like kind of a trade in 2019, and then we saw like when the Hornets or whatever were basically gonna they were gonna sell the team in 2012, and then like the Cavaliers when they lost LeBron. When there's a major news thing like that, what happens? These teams win the draft lottery. So I would not be surprised if for some reason after this Dame news that Portland with the 5th highest odds win the draft lottery and they get Victor Wembanyama. Keep an eye on that. Could you
imagine?
And if it does happen, I think people need to start reviewing history. Like go back to the frozen envelope with Patrick Ewing.
Yep, I was thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm a Bulls fan. I love D Rose. Go back to that year, okay? We had a 1.8% chance of getting D Rose. The odds of getting the hometown kid from Chicago, and even go back to the LeBron thing. I know the Cavs had a better odds there, but they didn't even have the best odds, I don't think. I think Denver did. Yeah. So I don't know. We're going to have to start looking at that, but I would not be surprised if after the recent stuff he said, if Portland somehow wins the draft lottery and then they're left with a weird situation of, do we build around Wemby or do we pair Wemby with Dame, or do we trade Wemby or do we trade Dame? Like,
I'll just say this. It took me years to realize that at least the draft lottery is rigged and there is conspiracy theories. I had to legit learn to accept that. Not saying the NBA as a league is rigged, although there's been, stories and all that stuff. But I will say this. I don't know if the Timberwolves, if the Trailblazers are going to get Wemby, but I will say this. They need to keep Shaden Sharp. That kid is freaking awesome. I'm not saying he's like their future and he's going to lead them to the playoffs and be their star guy going forward, but that kid can play, man. And he is a highlight. My dogs are having a huge fight, but he is a highlight machine waiting to happen. And I don't know what's going to happen with Dame.
They need to keep Simons too.
Oh yeah, I don't know how I forgot him. He's incredible, man.
And they need to send my boy, former Chicago Bulls draft pick, Yusuf Nurkic. They need to send him to the Long Lions or the Flying Leopards.
On that note, I think we're going to get out of here, Suns fans, because we did reach the 2-hour mark. Super Mario Hoops, I do appreciate you being here. Thank you for, joining the show on and off. Thank you for being here earlier. I will leave your link down below in the description after this is all over with. Suns fans, I hope you enjoyed the show. Sorry for my negativity tonight. Thank you to Metal Mike and yourself, Super Mario, for trying to bring the optimism, trying to calm me down. Thank you for all the nice comments. Like Mark Cooper says, see you Tuesday, Suns Geek. Hopefully with better circumstances. Thanks as always. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions and topics and all that good stuff. My dogs are freaking out, so I got to get out of here, y'all. I love you guys. God bless you guys. As always, win or lose, go Phoenix Suns. And if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Thank you guys for watching. Phoenix Suns in 6. Peace out and go Suns.
What's up, Suns Geek?